be agreement on some of the details, one of the things we really do believe is that the decision-making needs to be local. The people who are part of the process, who are impacted by the process, are the ones that need to make the decisions. And frankly, what we saw here was a pretty top-down approach. I heard what you said, but that's not what I read in the plan. And so I agree with her. Basically, we took a look at the plan, just also as a way of introduction. We will be submitting to you and to the Lieutenant Governor and others an alternative plan. So we took your plan and we rewrote it, and we'll be supplying to that to you in due course. We want to get a few other people who agree with us to take a look at it to make sure that it at least makes sense from our standpoint. So you'll get that.
Great.
Okay, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, we took a look at it from the standpoint, from really 4 standpoints. One of fiscal responsibility, issues of personal responsibility, issues of government working best when it's closest to the people, as we were talking about over here, and a belief that natural rights, as perceived by our founders and of the nation as well as the state of New Jersey, belief that those natural rights, including property rights, are still valid. Among these, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we know the founders, when they talked about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, they meant property. In terms of fiscal responsibility, we believe that the state needs to live within its means. We've heard lots of words about incentives. We don't really know where those incentives are coming from. You talked about return on investment, yet we saw no cost-benefit analysis. We don't know what the definition of return on investment on. We don't know even what percentage it's going to be. So we don't know what we're going to get for the investments that you're making. And if we don't know that, how can we subscribe to the plan? Specifically, you talk about giving redevelopment credits to public corporations to develop land, which means that other people are going to have to give up their rights. We feel that this is really a violation of the whole concept of the eminent domain. Will reduce the property rights of, property values of adjacent lands, and it's nothing more than an incentive for developers to develop and not to preserve the rights of the people who are actually living there next to those developments or close to those developments. We want to know how many actual jobs will be in those growth investment areas. We know that some of those don't have very many jobs now. When we're talking about Newark, what is the projection for Newark? How many jobs are going to be created in Newark, and what kind of industries are going to be there? We don't know that. We don't have a figure. We don't have any concept of what that's going to be. The plan talks about making housing affordable. Got to have affordable housing everywhere. Well, where's that money going to come from? And what's it going to do to the price and cost and value of property and housing in those areas where you're going to incentivize? And I know some of this is legal. Some of the courts have said we've got to do that, but I don't see the need for the state development plan to look at affordable housing. You're looking towards, and you make specific mention of enforcing EPA and DEP environmental regulations. Why does the state, again, to what I was talking about before, what is the cost of doing that, and what are we going to get from it? So we want to see that kind of analysis. We do believe that the citizens are smart enough to make the decisions for themselves and should be given the opportunity to do so. Well, I didn't see that I did not see property advocacy groups in the groups that made comments to the development of this plan. Now, I might be wrong, but I didn't see any property rights advocacy groups there. So lots of other advocacy groups, but nobody representing the property owners of this state. We want to see that.
Wrap up.
How many minutes have I gone?
You're knocking on 5.
Okay. Lastly, sustainability. I know you said you gave a very specific definition of sustainability. Here, it's not consistent with the definition of sustainability that you have in the plan itself, okay, which deals with economic, social, and environmental issues on an equal footing. And I don't see where the state plan, which to me, focuses on economic development, redevelopment, needs to look at the social engineering concepts, social equity, environmental equity. That's something that the legislature needs to be doing, not you or others at a state level on a planning basis. So
George,
I don't believe that.
Thank you very
Okay?
much, George. Thank you.
Can I have 10 more seconds?
If anybody wants to see what we've come up with, including the revised plan, before we send it in, again as a draft, please see me. I'll be glad to share it with you.
Thank you. Sal DiBianca?
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'll be very brief. I think George probably said it all. My concern is, again, what we spoke about before. Reading through the document, the terminology is dripping, and I hate to say it, with Agenda 21. Right? Okay. When you look at the words that you guys use, it is frightening. Right? There is no reason why we have to talk about social justice, social issues in an economic plan. Right? One of the things you mentioned is that you're pure and everything came from the state, and that you'd be very careful. Some of the money will be coming down from HUD and other agencies, and you're going to take advantage of that. Just remember that those agencies are really into the ICLEI, into the Agenda 21.
Sal, I know you have to relate your comments to the plan, please.
Well, it's just to the plan. You're going to get money from HUD and other agencies, and what I'm suggesting is that we have to look at that very carefully, and we need some property rights people there, and we also need an opt-out. Whenever you get a grant from the federal government, EPA, there should be an opt-out clause. I don't see any of that in the upcoming grants, like the 13-county grant that we're working on now.
We're not talking about the grant now. We're talking
Well, talking about the fact that when you get a grant, there should be an opt-out clause, and there should be something in there to protect property rights of the individuals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Bezic?
Yes. My name is Bob Bezic, and I'm Director of Planning of Sumter County. Before commenting on the state plan, I just want to point out two things regarding our unique and long history of advocating for a workable and effective state planning framework. We had the pleasure of facilitating 3 rounds over 30 years of cross-acceptance planning in Somerset County. We facilitated 13 Senate petitions in our county. We helped spearhead the first tri-party regional center. We support municipalities on a voluntary basis that want to pursue redevelopment. And also we've been very active through the cooperation of the OPA in the stakeholder process. All county planners as well as municipal officials, we appreciate that involvement. We're also updating your own strategic plan and involved right now in preparing a county-wide comprehensive economic development plan. We took it upon ourselves to try to pilot this capacity-based investment framework to see if it's workable at the local level, and we've been receiving very wide support from our municipalities. We want to just take a minute and just applaud the governor and the lieutenant governor for getting state planning back on track. And first and foremost, I think the county planning board supports the overall shift in the approach that state planning has taken from one of being a top-down directive on local government to one that places an emphasis on the horizontal alignment of state agencies. I think this one sentence alone tells us why we need a state strategic plan. Some of the other things I just want to compliment the office on, again, is repositioning OPA within the Secretary of State's office, putting it within the Business Action Center so it can better carry out some of its economic mandates, emphasizing the importance of building on assets, particularly infrastructure, as approach to identify investment areas, recognizing the need for a sustainable source of preservation dollars, so places like Morris and Somerset can continue their long history of open space and farmland protection, and also this concept of vertical integration of planning through incentives, not mandates, that has occurred in the past. We have a whole series of recommendations that we'd like to put forth in more detail. One area in the plan, though, that we feel very strongly on is recognizing the historical role that counties have played with our municipalities. And also our role in terms of preservation of open space and farmland, wastewater. Again, where these are areas where we work very closely with our municipalities, and we want to see the state plan recognize that and build on the county's strengths to help achieve mutual goals.
Here, here.
Also, what's very important, I think, this whole criteria-based approach relies heavily on GIS resources. Many counties have already put these resources in place, so there's no need to duplicate that, and we want to be part of that process in terms of applying these concepts. We want more transparency in the process. So, for example, these state guidelines that are being talked about should be made part of the plan. Also, we need, I think, some kind of language in the plan that talks about the process for county, municipal, and public review of the state strategic plans. Since a lot of the details,
Yes.
I think that you're talking about are going to be vetted in those plans. We applaud this concept of moving away from plan endorsement. It's been cumbersome, costly, and the results I don't think have been that productive. Lastly, I think the plan does need to recognize the interdependence between the importance of adequate labor supply that meets the needs of local businesses and the importance of having a high quality and diverse housing stock statewide. So we're grateful to provide some brief comments. Again, we intend to submit much more detailed comments. The county planning staff is actually attending 3 or more of the meetings to gauge the sentiment and public comments so we can incorporate that into our own report.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Grant.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Grant. I live in Bellevue, New Jersey. I'm a licensed engineer and I'm born in New Jersey. I have to say the 5-minute rule is really found on my remarks, so you may not deny this testimony. Just a comment first about the interconnectivity of local plans and state plans and federal government funding. I'm not sure I'm completely on board with you about the New Jersey State Master Plan and one thing.
Speak louder, please. Can't hear you.
I'm a little hoarse. I don't know if I'm on board with you about the New Jersey State Master Plan being standalone and all the other counties and municipalities doing their own thing. I think they're all interconnected. I live in Somerset County, and I read the Somerset County Draft Master Plan vision, and they're eerily similar. And I know there are a lot of issues that came up in Somerset County of the same ilk. So I think all the plans are connected. The counties look to the state, and the municipalities look to the county. We all kind of look to the federal government to see where they're giving money and giving incentives. So I think that's how it's going. But my first remark is a comment, and that is I don't see how the plan really addresses what I often perceive as the #1 problem in New Jersey, and that's road congestion. And if there is ever anything I was going to look at and review and say, hey, we have a problem here, we need to solve it, there's just not enough road capacity during rush hour to get people to and from their destination. I know there was a lot of talk about transit villages. I know there's a lot of talk about high-density housing centered around these transit villages. But I think we have to face up to the fact that New Jersey is an automobile-based state. Automobile transportation-based state. Accept that, embrace that, and expand our highway capacity, expand the availability of roadways to get to and from work,
Yes.
office buildings especially.
Absolutely.
So that being said, again, some of my remarks may be a little bit out of order, and there may not be exactly connecting the dots between everything. The paramount concern throughout New Jersey and this proposed plan is the subversion of private property rights and land wealth through the application of United Nations Agenda 21 principles through its advancement of new and strange concepts of environmental justice and social equity. Now, page 5 of the plan, under the category of guiding principles for state decision making, there are 5 criteria. One of them is sustainability. And it says the state of New Jersey will plan for and respond to current and future challenges and opportunities through adaptive decision-making that accounts for social, economic, and environmental protection and enhancement. And my first question to you is, what is sustainability? And it's kind of a rhetorical question, because you can ask 3 people the question, what is sustainability? You'll get 5 answers, and even then they won't be sure what they're talking about. Well, let's go on. Coincidentally, the tenets of the United Nations Agenda 21 are sustainability, as measured by the 3 E's, equity, as in social equity, environment, as in environmental justice, and economy. And there's no coincidence in my mind that the proposed plan does not say a single word about UN Agenda 21 and its key tenets of sustainability, which are the 3 E's I just mentioned. In my mind, the proposed plan is the United Nations Agenda 21. It's a very bad thing for the state of New Jersey. I think Agenda 21, and this is my opinion, it's a pipe dream utopia cooked up by those who do not understand the dairy.
Sir, I have to keep you on our plan.
I'm almost
Let's
done.
talk. He's on the plan. He's on the plan.
Right on the plan.
It's right on the plan.
No, he's
not on the plan.
Well, I am connecting Agenda 21 to the plan. I am taking what you put in words and saying, you're saying the same thing as Agenda 21. And it's if it walks like it does, and it talks like it does, okay, it's Agenda 21. So that's the point. So, editorially, I think a lot of people don't understand they're being had by environmental radicals and socialists. Now, the last guiding principle of this grouping of 5 is institutionalizing change. This says the state of New Jersey will ensure that progress made is institutionalized in a way that can transcend time without perpetual recasting. Now, what this means is, if this plan is accepted, there's no way to reverse course. What if this proposed plan is yet another case of government gets it wrong again? It will take several years for the results of this plan to emerge, and by that time, all of the boards, councils, agencies, and processes that the plan advocates will already be firmly in place. And by that time, the bureaucracy that this plan has created will have metastasized throughout the society and will be impossible to remove. No plan in any rational business environment is complete without an escape clause. How much time do I have?
No.
How much time
We
do I have?
mentioned before, we're receiving another minute.
How much time? I have another.
Yep.
Escape clause is a rational risk management technique that allows reversing or unwinding the plan to minimize adverse or undesirable intended results. If this proposed plan, regardless of its outcome, is specifically intended to be irreversible. I was going to ask you a question about wealth. Do you know where all wealth comes from?
This is your comment period.
This is part of the conversation. Does
I know.
anybody know where wealth comes from?
Comes from my property,
My property, right? Land.
stuff that I own.
Jeff, you're using a minute now for...
Well, I'm making a point. Most people don't know the answer to that question. And if you're planning in the state, I think it's important for you to understand. Anyway, I'll wrap up with kind of an overview. The frequency of terminology used in this plan. The word sustainable is used 23 times. Green is used 8 times. Garden state values is used 10 times. Agency is used 17 times. Council is used 3 times, and that's including what's called the food policy committee. Commission is used 7. State planning commission is used 20 times. Public-private partnership or public-private and private investments is used 12 times. Private property is used once. Free enterprise is used 0 times. Competition is used 0 times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Kerrod, I'm sorry if I'm misinterpreting your request.
Hi, my name is Kevin Kerrod. I'm a Montgomery Township resident. I do have concerns with the New Jersey development plan. The outcomes seem that they're already determined, and public input really here is for show. The main goal of the draft state plan appears to impede development outside of urban centers and shift resources to suburban areas, from suburban areas. The design goals are social and environmental. There's no real economic benefit for a majority of the New Jersey citizens here. It is a top-down plan as it dictates land use and development. The plan also seems to give the state authority to accumulate land for preservation and development. Population centers like Camden and Newark and other city centers. It requires funding from the state, which I'm not sure I would support that. Montgomery Township, we already have 1/3 of our land preserved in open space and so forth. And the surrounding townships also have similar amounts of land preserved. You know, how much land do we need to preserve? We need developing and we need jobs here. The federal government is giving money to the states with strings attached, and the state money that's going to be involved here is also going to have strings attached. It will take away the local authority in the development process and give the states the right to do it. Now, just look at the solar panels that are on the telephone poles everywhere you go. No local authority had the right to say, no, we don't want those in our township. And if you look at the one in front of my house, right outside my driveway, there's bird poop all over it. There's no traffic congestion relief. The plan will intertwine local, state, and federal branches to control water use, energy use, private property, food production, population growth, owning and using our cars, the temperatures in your home. The state of New Jersey should have a lot more of these public hearings. There's not really a lot of hearings here. There's only a handful of hearings. And there's, like the gentleman over there said, 21 counties here. There should be at least one in every county. Anyway, so, you know, I think it's a little bit unfair to place this plan in such a fast manner into the public realm. No one really even knows about it if you talk to people. I have 80 people at my company, and I've asked a lot of people, you know that New Jersey has a new development and redevelopment plan. They have no idea about it. So this is all getting done without really anyone knowing about it, except for the people here. So anyways, you know, I want to remain in my suburban home, you know. I want to drive my car as I need. I want to avoid the city as much as possible. Coming up here is a nightmare, going through all that traffic, you know. I don't want to be required to take a bus or train to work. I don't want to live in row homes. I don't want my children having to walk to school in these kind of dangerous times. I don't have my property rights taken away and live at uncomfortable temperatures. So what we really need, to sum it up, we really need more jobs here in New Jersey. Get the job in here, and the rest of the stuff we'll just play out.
Mike McGinnis.
Hi, Mike McGinnis. I'm representing Newark, New Jersey. It's a commercial real estate development association, warehouse, distribution facilities, office, mixed-use centers. First off, I just want to say it's refreshing to see a new approach to envisioning New Jersey's future that identifies priority industry clusters. Things like logistics, biopharma, finance, healthcare, technology. It's all about jobs. They're not fixed and limited geographic areas. It's important that flexibility is key as market and economic drivers are continuously changing and all industries do not belong in urban areas. This new approach hopefully will address some of the imbalance and deficiencies in the old plan by striving for a balance between environmental goals and other public priorities for locating growth, such as transit, housing, existing infrastructure, and jobs. I think the role of the steering committee is key toward accomplishing these goals and ensuring that the agencies are accountable and that follow-up plans are met with performance criteria measures. I think the guiding principles, while they are good goals as well. I mean, the predictability and consistency and institutionalizing change so that things don't change all the time. This realignment of state policies and programs is key if we hope to gain some buy-in from municipalities that retain local planning and zoning powers. also what's key to doing this alignment is to make sure that all the state agencies have the right infrastructure technology, the computers, to make sure that the data that's collected is transparent so that people don't have to keep submitting the same data over and over again to get approvals. Once all the state agencies are heading in the same direction, using the same data, on which to make decisions on land use, then we'll be better able to and equipped to provide meaningful incentives, both financial and non-financial type, to municipalities to be consistent with the plan. And I'll also submit comments at a later date.
Thank you.
Marilyn Vautier? Vautier,
My
sorry.
husband's been a small business owner in the state for well over 20 years, and I feel basically lowering taxes, better federal than state because they're bigger, is pretty much the best way to keep business afloat. But, that being said, let me just go on to, from your plan, garden state value item number 6, advanced equity. And these are some comments about that item on your plan. Consider the equity of property owners during planning and implementation. Improve access to opportunity, housing, jobs, and schools for all New Jersey residents. Again, improve access to opportunity, housing, jobs, and schools for all New Jersey residents. Advancing equity of opportunity, housing, jobs, education for all New Jersey residents. What does this mean? What's the practical application of it? What regulations might be written to build on this? All of these questions are unanswered in the plan. We do know, however, that this is a term, this all embodies Agenda 21, social engineering. I mean, just read back what I said. You're playing, you're trying to engineer opportunity, housing, jobs, and schools for all residents. What else is there? Coupling the concept of advancing equity by considering the equity of property owners and social equity can easily compromise private property rights for the benefit of what some regulator feels are more important social equity objectives. That's a possible potential downfall of this item in the plan. Consider the equity of property owners during the planning and implementation might mean anything, so I'm not going to attempt to guess what that might mean. Still, because the proposed plan does not specify a requirement to affirm protection and advancement of private property rights as fundamental controlling purpose of the state, of garden state value, misses the opportunity to uphold the United States Constitution. And as this proposal plan fails to provide equitable recourse means, should private property rights be compromised, I propose the following be inserted. Property owners' rights, as provided by the highest authority, the U.S. Constitution, shall not be compromised, either directly or indirectly, in any instance where property rights are found for the application to the applicable court of law to be compromised or potentially compromised at any time. The prevailing landowner shall receive treble damages plus reasonable court costs and expense reimbursements from the infringing party. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also have some information I would like to give you. This is on Agenda 21. It's a resolution that some people in the Republican Party actually had made.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
John, Vadros?
Yeah, John Badger. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I would just like to say that glad that a practical plan is being developed. Although my, two concerns. One, is the environment being protected enough compared to the old plan?